Fragrances can cause sensitization and irritation to the skin.
But we grow up thinking fragrance equals like luxurious and like high quality. And now I'm diving into endocrine disruptors and I'm like, if it smells good, it's probably not good for you. Welcome back to another episode of Self-Dom Beautiful Humans, a safe place to learn and get inspired to live your healthiest and most fulfilling life. I am Dom, your host, and I feel so grateful to be living my passion by getting to interview inspiring and knowledgeable guests. Today, we are deep diving into the world of skin health, and not just at the surface level. We're talking about truly understanding your skin, treating it as the unique organ it is, and learning how to support it from the inside out. Joining me is someone who lives and breathes this philosophy, Sandra from Dermaviduals, a skincare brand that I have been using for over 4 years, and that is tailored, science-backed, and a truly individualized approach to skin. Sandra has worked with thousands of clients over the years and brings a wealth of knowledge about how our skin reflects everything from our hormones and gut health to our lifestyle and stress levels. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the skincare industry or unsure about what your skin actually needs, this is the episode for you. So welcome to Self-Dom.
Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be here today.
I feel like this episode is something we've wanted to do for quite a few months now. So I'm so happy you could make the journey and join me on the couch today.
Very excited.
I just want to start by learning a little bit about you and your journey. Where did your love for skincare start?
I think it's been a long life journey, actually. And I believe the first initiation of the love for skincare started when I was with my grandmother and my cousins. My grandmother would always be putting, products on her skin, talking about why they're good for her and why she's not aging as much as others. And, she was really into making sure that she's looking after herself from within as well as externally. And then there was a time when I was at my cousin's house where she would actually chop up some apples, mix it in with some yogurt, put some honey in and put a mask on my face and she would cleanse my skin. And I thought, what is she doing? This is just absolutely amazing. And I kind of got that love for it there. But I didn't get into it until a few years later. But that's where it would have definitely initiated. And then one time I was in a car ride with my mum asking, what do you want to do? I said, I'm not too sure. And she said, I think you should go into beauty therapy. And that's how it all started.
Yeah, that's so nice and organic. What's your heritage?
My mum is half Syrian, half Chilean, and my dad's Australian.
Amazing. They would have had such good food. I mean, if that's your face masks, the food would have been unreal.
Food was unreal.
And what about your own skin journey? I mean, as a woman, I find our hormones play such a role. Is this something you've had to deal with yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So even from a teen into now, starting perimenopause, for example, my hormones have definitely played a huge role with how my skin has responded. And you touched base on something earlier with our lifestyle, and that affects our hormones and the fluctuations with hormones as well. So for myself and my journey, I do have a genetic predisposition to having acne. So I know that I have to really work hard to keep my internal health to the best that it can be. And don't get me wrong, like I'm human as well. And I do have those times where I kind of fall off the wagon a little bit, but I'll come back on. But with that being said, when I know that I'm working really well towards a healthy skin, my skin responds beautifully. But if I'm not caring for myself and if I'm not looking after my stress levels, because stress will affect my hormones, if I'm not sleeping correctly, if I'm not eating correctly, and then I'm having a surge of change in hormones, then yes, it's going to come through my skin. It's a healing journey. It's a long journey. And it's one that is quite self-reflective. It's a place where you can really turn inwards to see how we are working with our skin holistically. And it's a great journey to be on because you get to know who you are, you get to know your body, you get to know yourself, and therefore find the answers to true healthy skin.
Yeah, I love that because it makes, when you're dealing with those breakouts, it can be empowering because your body's really communicating to you in that moment. Yeah, I'd love to know your non-negotiables when it comes to feeling your best to have that glowy, beautiful skin.
Food is a big one for myself, and I really love wholesome, home-cooked, slow-cooked foods, particularly in winter because they're so easy on digestion, and I love the fact that we can get great absorption from a small intestine, and that's going to flow through onto the skin. Non-negotiables are essential fatty acids within the diet as well, and I do take supplements that really help to fortify really strong cellular membrane. If we have great cell membrane health, our cells are going to function optimally. What else are my non-negotiables? I love walking early in the morning to get that beautiful sunlight in the morning and getting my blood flow. I love facial reflexology. I do a lot of lymphatic drainage, dancing, and just spending time with the people that I love. Those are my non-negotiables for skin health, and that's where that whole holistic side comes into play.
Yeah, so we're going to dive really deep into Dermaviduals, but what I love is the first time I discovered Dermaviduals was 2020. I just got back from my 3-month Europe vacay and was eating gluten the entire time. Everyone's like, it's fine if you eat gluten in Europe. It doesn't impact your gut there. I came back so inflamed, and I went into my facialist here, Solstice Skin, and she gave me Dermaviduals products, and it completely transformed my skin. But what I loved about it was the holistic approach, because when I went in there, they ask you questions about your diet, your lifestyle. And we were just talking off mic about you can do your skincare 8 steps perfectly. But if you're not ticking off your sleep, exercise, healthy diet, maybe it's a supplementation, it's not going to do its job. And it's that holistic approach that I really want to spread the message on today's episode. So I want to hear from you, for the listeners who aren't sure what Dermaviduals is. How would you kind of describe the brand ethos?
Brand ethos is that we're conscious science. We are a corneotherapeutic brand, which means that we are working with the skin rather than against. We are always wanting to ensure that we are respecting the first 3 lines of skin barrier defense. And what we are respecting are our acid mantle and microbiome that's sitting on the surface layer of our stratum corneum. We also respect our corneocytes, which are the cells sitting within that layer, and also our lamellar bodies, which is the oil surrounding those cells. Furthermore to that, we also ensure that we are strengthening our immune cells within our skin and also respecting that correlation or communication from our melanocyte cell to the keratinocyte cell, which is the cell that goes from the basal layer of the epidermis to the top. By doing so, we're going to ensure that we don't have any transepidermal water loss or an excess in water loss of the skin. It means that we've got a really strong corrective barrier so that pathogens or allergens and microbes won't be entering to the skin to cause inflammation and to cause dysbiosis within the skin. It ensures we have really great cell-to-cell communication, and what that means is the cells are going to be functioning as they should, and the skin is going to be differentiating in the process that it should be, resulting in a really healthy, resilient skin barrier.
Yeah, so I heard microbiome on our skin. Please explain. Because I feel like we all know microbiome in our gut, but I don't think we ever talk about the microbiome on our skin.
Yeah, so every area of our body has microbes. So we have got trillions of microbes sitting on the surface, and the area in which they are in would have different microbes sitting in those areas. So for example, if we were to have microbes on the face, they'll be different to the microbes that will be, under our arm or in our groin, for example. So our microbiome is an important component because it is a combination of commensal bacterias, opportunistic and good bacteria, where they're creating balance within the skin. And we need both bacteria. We need both good and both bad. And the reason for that is because they create the home that we expose our skin to, and that is going to help to create a really strong acid mantle.
Yeah, I mean, you are saying a lot of words that sound very scientific. That's when you know that the products are well backed and thought through. I want to talk a little bit more about acne-prone skin, because that's something that a lot of my audience are dealing with. It's something I dealt with when I went off the pill. We're talking about, obviously, your gut health and your diet, but what are some other things that might cause acne? Can you actually use skincare that causes acne?
Okay, so acne is a really, really big topic. And I think in order for us to understand acne, there are a few things that we need to take into consideration. So first and foremost, yes, there are some products that would be considered comedogenic. And what we mean by that, it means that it can clog the follicles or the pores within the skin. If we are, let's say, layering these ingredients onto the skin and we're not having an effective cleanse, then yes, we could contribute to congestion. We could have microcomedones or blackheads and whiteheads sitting on the surface or within the follicle. And if we don't look after that, then that can turn itself into the pimple or the pustule and the nodule, etc. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. When we are looking at acne, it is multifaceted. There are many different causes and triggers, but one of the biggest ones we're looking at that really alter the sebum that's produced within a unit of the skin called the pilosebaceous unit. We have a gland that will produce oil, and this oil is going to seep into the follicle, work its way up through the hair shaft, and work its way onto the surface of the skin. That's an important component to have because it helps with lubrication of the skin and it makes up part of our acid mantle. What happens is if we go through times of stress, for example, and if we have a dysregulation in hormones, that's going to up the ante of that sebum. So we have got something called testosterone, which I'm sure we've all heard of. And when that testosterone comes into contact with an enzyme, it's going to convert into a really aggressive form called dihydrotestosterone. And it's when we have that conversion take place, we no longer have oil that resembles olive oil. We now have an oil that resembles butter.
Wow.
Okay, so that's going to get into the follicle. It's going to slowly work its way up to the hair shaft. And what happens is we have this accumulation of skin cells sitting within the opening of that follicle. And those skin cells are just going to get stuck to that sebum. So then we've got a plug. And now we've got this environment where microbes and bacteria are going to thrive in because there's no oxygen. And because they're thriving in this environment, and when I say thriving, like they're chucking a party, they're having the best time of their life, and they're breeding and breeding and breeding. That's it. And they cause inflammation.
Yeah.
And by having that inflammation, that's where we get the really raised pustular type lesions that we're working with. So that's, again, another component. But then we also need to think about, well, what is their lifestyle like? How are they living? What are they doing? How do they sleep? How do they work? What are their stress levels like? All of that's going to really contribute to that dysregulation and then link in to the changing of hormones, which then links to a thicker sebum.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So you've seen so many patients. What have been the real top 3 ways people have improved their acne, like when you've had them in and you've seen a transformation?
Lifestyle is a really big one that we have a look at, because if we can't, like you said, if we are doing all the wrong things on this other side of doing great skincare, we're only going to get so far. So this is where that holistic space comes in, where we marry the two together. So we're going to be looking at the stressors and triggers, getting to the root cause of why this is occurring on the skin. So once we understand that, then we're going to get into ensuring that we have good quality sebum. And by doing so, this is where their essential fatty acids come in. So at Derma Aesthetics, we have our Simca capsules or Simca liquids.
I'm obsessed with them.
Me too.
I take them
They're
every
amazing.
single day.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear. They are phenomenal. And they really do help to support the quality of oil. They make sure that the oil is going to be at a viscosity that the skin actually likes, so that we won't be getting the clogging and the bleeding taking place. But furthermore, it's also going to help with our nervous system. And we need that when we're looking at acne to regulate the nervous system. It's also going to help with the cell membrane that I spoke about earlier. And that cell membrane is really important, particularly when we're looking at acne as well, because if we've got a really, let's say, faulty cell membrane, we're going to have a discommunication, and then we're having an abundance of a cascade of things that we don't want to take place. So that's another one. So EFAs, and then, of course, using 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. And these are ingredients that work on managing or suppressing the overproduction of oil, but they don't just do that. They're anti-inflammatory, they're skin brighteners, they prevent scarring in the skin, they increase hydration, they soothe the skin. So they're really multifunctional. So we're still targeting the breakouts, and we're still targeting the oil flow, but we have all of these other multifunctional benefits occurring at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's such a big myth, because when I was dealing with acne, I just took away all my skincare. I was like, I need to dry out my skin, and it made it worse. And then I went back into the clinic and they said to me, no, you need to use Lotion N and these beautiful products that actually gave my skin a glow and weren't drying out my skin. And I think it's such a myth, because when I was younger, like in my teens, dealing with pimples and breakouts, you're like doing everything to dry it. You're doing everything to dry your skin. Like, and I was using remember Proactive?
Oh, yes, I remember
All my
those.
towels were bleached,
Yes.
white. Who knows what damage I've done to my skin in my teen years. But yeah, it's been so nice with Dermaviduals, because when my skin went acne prone, I was able to still hydrate, still get that glow. And as you said, it was giving my gut the good oils. I think you get so scared to put anything oily when you're dealing with breakouts. One thing I want to ask you though is, I don't use a skin oil because I am still a bit scarred. What are your views on skin oils? Can anyone use them?
To a degree, yes. So there are different types of oils, and when it comes to Dermaviduals, I will share with you that you are probably not even realizing putting a lot of lipids and oils onto your skin anyway.
But it doesn't feel like that usual, because a lot of places where I get lymphatic, they put oil and then they do lymphatic drainage.
And that helps with the glide.
Yes.
And that, serves a purpose.
But I feel like if I slept with the oil on, I don't know why, I get like it's
you just get a little bit nervous.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah. So different oils.
Because it's in the serum then. Is it probably in my serum?
So this might blow your mind. This blew my mind when I learned about it. So when we're looking at the formulations of Dermavidual products, we don't use emulsifiers. So that's one big thing, because it's very unique and very different. Rather than using emulsifiers, which bring water and oil together to blend formulations together, we have a process called homogenization, which is a machine that furiously shuffles oil and water together in the bottle and creates its own bilayers. What I mean by bilayers is that we have got on our cell membrane, we have got bilayers of oil and water, and that's essentially what we have created, bilayers within a jar. These are made up of oils, ceramides, cholesterols, fatty acids. So we're actually mimicking the skin. This is why we say we're physiological to the skin, because we're mimicking the skin's structures of the cell membrane. And then it also acts as a carrier. So it acts like a taxi service. When we have these phospholipids within a formulation, it almost turns in on itself and creates a sphere so that we can carry actives within the center and acts like a taxi to deliver those actives further into the skin to the receptors. So you're not only getting a delivery service, but you're getting these bilayers in a jar that are reinforcing the cells and structures of the skin and increasing your oil content, but in a really safe and efficacious way.
That makes so much sense.
It's amazing.
And you really do, like I'm the biggest advocate for Dermaviduals, but honestly, like when I went from my old skincare to Dermaviduals, because I was that girl who my skin looked always nice. So I just use like body wash on my face, And then when I dealt with the post-Europe gluten inflammation, I started using Dermaviduals. The change in my skin texture, even with the breakouts, the skin texture was like insane.
Yes, agreed. And I think also the overall glow that it provides
Lotion
to the skin. Oh, that's my favorite too.
The girls at Solstice Skin, like I just want so much Lotion N. I buy the big one.
Nice.
They're like, we're sold out of the small one. I was like, perfect.
Give me the big one.
I want the big one.
You pop it on your body too if you wanted. You don't just have to stick it to the face.
But not where I get dermatitis. That's what they were telling me. So one thing that I struggle with a lot is perioral dermatitis, which I actually want to talk to you about. It's something that is so frustrating because I'm doing all the supplements. I'm trying to de-stress. And then it still comes back.
Yeah.
But that's where I was doing it wrong. I was putting lotion in.
Too much oil. Yeah. So with perioral dermatitis, if we do put too much oil onto the skin, it will, in essence, create a little bit of a response. I had it when
I saw you, didn't I?
Yes, you had just a little bit. Yeah. It wasn't too bad. Know,
but
I can understand.
Did I see you before my wedding or after?
After. It was after.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that a lot of people deal with. I see it. What would be your advice to anyone who's suffering with perioral?
So we would go with less is best with perioral dermatitis or any atopic type of skin condition, whether it be eczema, psoriasis, even rosacea can fall into that category of atopic skin. And the reason for that is because we're essentially looking at first and foremost the barrier of the skin. And we also know that with these types of skins, there is going to be a genetic predisposition to having an influx or a flare take place. If we put oils onto a skin such as these, we can get that flare occur, which is why we try to limit the amount of oils. However, if it's managed, you can apply a little bit of oil on top, but if it's flared, we will go with the no application. So this is where we'll do something called zero therapy. And this zero therapy might just be around that area or
everywhere.
May do it all over. It just depends.
Wait, zero therapy, what's this involve?
Okay, so zero therapy is actually I really love zero therapy because it almost brings the skin back to its natural state, and then we can reintroduce actives or these ingredients and products into the skin in due time. So essentially what it is the first, let's say 1 to 10 days, we don't put anything onto the skin.
Nothing. Don't even wash it.
Water.
What if you had makeup on or you're not allowed to?
Well, then this is where we'll do something like what we have, the essential cleansing cloth. I'm not sure if you've played with that before. We would use the essential cleansing cloth with water and remove. And that would be what you would do.
Do you know what's so funny? Because I bumped into my girlfriend on Bondi to Bronte and I said to her, you look really good. She goes, it's funny. I've been so sick that I haven't been able to shower, wash my face. And I was like, but your skin looks really good. And it's that zero approach.
It's zero therapy.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you just start to reintroduce things back in. So let's say from day 10 to 20, you may just do your cleanser and a serum, and that's it. Something like our EGCG, which I believe you have used before. So, and then you can slowly start to build it up to a point where it's going to be the most suited for you, because with Dermaviduals, everything is so customizable. Everyone's regime is very different. But taking that break sometimes is going to be okay. And again, it doesn't have to be all over the face. It may just be those areas that are affected.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
So we're talking about customized skincare. That was a real unique thing that I loved, is you go in there and you actually create a bespoke cleanser for me, my serum for me and for my skin.
Yes.
How important is it that we have customized skincare?
I love customized skincare, and I wish so many more people were able or knew about getting their hands on customized skincare. So customization with Dermaviduals really comes down to something called compounding. Compounding means that as skin therapists, we can create, as you mentioned, a bespoke cleanser, bespoke serum, or a bespoke moisturizer that is truly suited for your skin and lifestyle. So this is where we do a consultation, we learn all about you, and then
you even asked, I'm pretty sure when I went in, they wanted to see my blood tests.
So some places do ask for that.
Because they have the naturopathy element too, which
absolutely.
I loved.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yes, and that just really, again, hones in on that whole holistic space of caring for the skin. And from that, they would have got some really great intel to be able to then put together a bespoke home care. And so what we essentially do is we go into a little room, wherever that may be, and we have 40 actives to choose from. And from these 40 actives, we measure and choose. It's like shopping almost. We measure and choose.
Witchier, you know,
it's
potion
concoctions.
Yeah.
And we create things that are very customized for each individual. So it could be, you know, changing up the cleanser. Somebody could have been on a gel-based cleanser. We're thinking, you know what? I think a gel-based cleanser isn't going to be the most suitable for you. How about we mix it in with a little bit of a cleansing milk with DMS, that derma membrane structure, the bilayers we spoke about earlier, so that we can really reinforce the skin, particularly in wintertime, for example, with the wind outside.
We need to talk about that as well. I know I came in for a facial and we changed my skincare, but season to season.
Yes.
But let's finish with the customized. Okay.
That's okay. So we would do that, and maybe we'll chuck in a little bit of boswellia or hamamelis, for example, for anti-inflammatory age management concerns. We could then do a bespoke serum. So somebody could have hyperpigmentation and they could also have breakouts, for example. So we would put in specific ingredients that are going to target the pathways that contribute to pigment being formed in the skin and breakouts being formed. And then I look at their skin and think, you know what, there's actually a lot of redness. So I just want to throw in a little bit more of anti-inflammatories and antioxidants to kind of tie that together beautifully for them. And then moisturizer. They could be on a gel-based moisturizer that we add a little bit of our mask with vitamins, so they get the A, C, E in there for them. Then they have those lipids again, but not too much lipids, so it's not overwhelming for their skin. And then we can pop in further antioxidants to really help to support their skin again. So it really is just, it's all about the person that we have treated, that is sitting in front of us, that we've had the conversation about, and we create something really beautiful and bespoke for them.
I mean, it makes so much sense. We all have to eat a different diet to match our individual needs. We're all so bio-individual. Same with skincare.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes you question and rethink all the brands that is just a blanket approach, because everyone is really different.
Everyone is really different. I think this is a superpower of Dermaviduals, is that we don't have that mass market approach. We do have something.
Not at all.
That is
and even
truly
with your
unique.
marketing, it's very like individualized. You choose key people that you want to work with. It's not like blasted everywhere.
No.
And I love that about it. Do you know what I actually love about the product?
Tell me.
That the packaging is just simple.
Yes, I know. I love that too.
Because it's just like, it's about the skincare.
That's
It's
it.
not about the colorful, like crazy packaging and marketing, and it's the money goes into product.
It does. But with our packaging as well, we do use things that are sustainable. We use airless pumps, for example, so no air can get in. So everything's being pushed up to the surface.
You get the most out of it. That's what I love. You don't waste any bit. I'm like
Trying to get it all
yeah,
out.
that's where I'm at. When I go to Solstice Skin and I have to get like a top up of everything. It's like I've literally used every last bit of
drop.
it.
I'm there with my serum and I'm like trying to hit it into my hand. Yeah.
That's when you know it's good. You get to the end of it, which I love.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about facials. I know growing up, my mum would always say you should get a facial every month. I definitely do try to do that, especially now I'm 30. What are your views on facials, and how often do you think we do need them?
So facials are important, and it is a way. There are two ways that we look at facials. The first thing is that it can be a corrective skin treatment. We are there to really focus on the individual skin needs, and we can really amplify results with consistent treatments. It also means that we can tweak home care if need be. And usually when people come in for consistent treatments, they're on a treatment plan. So if they're coming in for one treatment one day, we've noticed that something has happened within their lifestyle that's created a change within the skin, then we can change course and tweak it for them on that particular day. It really supercharges what you're doing at home. And also, there are some things that we can't do at home that only a therapist can do within those treatment walls. So it's an important component to have as part of your self-care. And that leads me to the next point, being the whole self-care point, is that we live in a really fast-paced society. I feel like a lot of us don't really realize how fast-paced we are living unless we are sitting down to reflect and being mindful and taking time, like journaling as you do with gratitude and so forth. So that is a moment for a lot of people where they actually schedule that time to really check in with themselves and start to regulate their nervous system, to switch into that parasympathetic state. So therefore we can start to heal the skin, repair the skin, and then continue on with those beautiful benefits that they're getting from their therapist through the skincare.
Yeah, I feel that when I go in, my Aura Ring tells me I'm napping for like at least 30 minutes of the facial.
I love that.
And it's such a good excuse to just like get warm under the blanket. There's always like an infrared under my back.
Beautiful.
And you're just being held. Like there's something so special about having someone massage your shoulders and your face and just letting you feel like that warmth.
It's almost like a hug, isn't it?
It actually is.
Yeah.
And there's where I go, they do a few visualizations throughout, which I really loved. Last time I was there, they're like picture a white ball and energy around you. And yeah, it's That's
beautiful.
Skincare can be mindfulness.
Absolutely.
Obviously when you get a facial, but also at home, if you really put the care into it. I know I'm guilty. Sometimes I'm just out the shower, put it all on, but it is nice sometimes before bed. You actually put it on softly. Yes. Maybe you do a little bit of lymphatic drainage. Maybe, make it a moment. But what really stood out for me there was it becomes a more tailored approach when you do get facials. Because today I was walking, I was like, my skin feels so dry. And I'm getting married soon again. And I thought I need to go in and get a facial and redo my products for the next month because my skin feels dry. I'm using the same products, and it's that again. We've gone to winter.
Yes. And we think about even just being outside beforehand, my hair was flying everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I know what my skin's going to be like in a couple of hours' time. I'm going to be needing more lotion and, for example, more hydration. I got my individual lotion with me to spritz over my makeup today. But I know that when I get home, I'm going to be doing more restorative, replenishing type of skincare. To really help to increase my lipid content within the skin, increase my hydration with things like hyaluronic acid, for example, just to lock in that moisture with the lipids, and making sure, of course, I'm consistently taking my EFAs to do that internally and to really help to support the cell membrane there. And, the seasons do change the skin slightly. That's not going to change the skin type, but it will change the conditions of the skin. And just making sure that we're encouraging a lot of hydration in winter and ensuring that our food is very nourishing as well.
Yeah, definitely. So where do we begin if you're someone listening to this podcast and you're like, I want to try Dermaviduals, I want a bespoke skincare regime? How do they start?
Where do we go?
Yeah, where do we go?
So I would jump onto the Dermaviduals website and chuck in your postcode to see where is your nearest treatment centre. We have got many around that would be more than happy to welcome you through your doors and to be able to support each and every one of our clients to come in and have these bespoke treatments and bespoke skincare routines. You can start by having a look on our Instagram page. It's a great place to get started, to get familiar with the brand. But I would reach out to professionals and reach out to them, because I can understand that it can be a bit overwhelming at times as well. Like, where do I go? What do I choose? There is so much to choose from. How do I get a bespoke cleanser? I don't understand what that actually means. Or my skin is doing this and I don't understand what to use. So going to a professional skincare therapist that is really, and a corneotherapist that is really going to help to support the skin by respecting those first 3 lines of skin barrier defense and create a safe space to answer the what, why, and how of treating the skin. That would be a place to start.
Yeah, that's so good.
A few touch points there, but reaching the professional.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then when it comes to results, what do you like to tell your clients? Like, they come in and they're like, say me, my wedding's in less than 2 months. How do I get the best skin of my life? How do you tell people realistic results?
Okay, so this is, again, so individualized, right? So this is where I would be taking in more so looking at, okay, how are we playing? How are we living? How are we breathing? How are we speaking? How are we doing? Like, all of those things are going to play an integral role in how the skin's going to function. We'll have a look at the skin structure and function and how that is going to be related to their lifestyle. So, for example, let's say we have a client who is getting married really soon, but we know their sleep isn't the best. And we know that what they're doing at home is something that they can change. Well, I'm going to be sharing with them, if we don't sleep, we're going to impair healing within the skin. We're going to be impairing regeneration occurring within the skin. It's going to create an imbalance with our circadian rhythm. It's going to increase oxidative stress, which means that we can see more degradation occur within our cells. So we can see more inflammation, we could potentially get more breakouts, and we can have more dehydration within the skin. So kind of bringing it back to what are they doing? What can they change? This could potentially happen. I think it sets up the realization of, okay, so a lot of this is actually what I also have to do. It's not just about what the skincare is doing. I'm also accountable. And if I really need to get in my sleep, then I'm going to ensure that I am going to be getting my sleep for that night or the nights leading up to their wedding. That's something that I really hone in on the lifestyle and how that affects the structures and functions, as we said before, and ensuring that they understand that this relationship and commitments between the two of us. So I need you to do this, and then I can do this to be able to help to support you. And most of the time they're like, oh yeah, I know I need to do that. Yeah. I know. And I'm thinking, okay, well then let's do it. And then you can do, touch-in points. A lot of therapists will call their clients, just checking in to see how you're doing. Do you have any further questions? Have you been going to sleep, or have Have you been doing this? And this is where it's so special, because not only do we care for the skin, but we create such beautiful relationships with our clients, and we really are there to guide them and support them through their whole journey.
One of my last questions I have for you is, what sets Dermaviduals apart from kind of those mainstream skincare brands we see all over socials?
So what sets us apart is how we are formulated. And it comes down to, as a brand, we first and foremost are formulated in aseptic laboratories. We have state-of-the-art facilities where we have high-pressured rooms that do not allow any pathogens to enter into our formulations. We also have the scientists and chemists who are working there shower before they enter into those rooms, and they get changed into short fibered clothing. Wow. They're covered. So we know that everything is going to be,
top notch,
A-OK.
Are they German?
Yes.
Yes. You know, they do it well.
So that's just the first part, right? And then when they're formulating, we actually formulate without any conventional emulsifiers or conventional preservatives. So we use other things like glycols and antimicrobials that are going to ensure that we have stability within the product. But we're not using things like mineral oils, fragrances.
And that's the one thing that really stands out with Dermaviduals, is there's so many products you smell them straight away. Dermaviduals is just fragrance. Yeah, it's just muted. There's no smell.
Absolutely. And this is because fragrances can cause sensitization and irritation to the skin.
But we grow up thinking fragrance equals like luxurious and like high quality. And now I'm diving into endocrine disruptors, and I'm like, if it smells good, it's probably not good for you.
Exactly.
There's a few like certain things I admit on the podcast, like perfumes and stuff. I spray it with the doors open. Like, I try my best, but I think skincare's a good one that you can actually make the swap and you'll see good results.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it just goes back to ensuring that we are working with those first 3 lines of skin barrier defense. And that truly is, what corneotherapy is. It's, we are the first corneotherapy brand and the one who's only truly customizable. So the fact that we are compounding in a really safe environment, that we have these delivery systems, that we are using physiological ingredients that are causing no harm to the skin, we know that the results are going to be there for each and every individual that are using it, but because they're safe and efficacious. Yeah.
You just know so much about skincare.
It's my job.
It's so good. No,
but I love as well.
I've been to many facialists, but they don't know much about skincare and they're just there to do a facial. The whole bespoke tailoring element of Dermaviduals is what sets it apart, and it's really been a huge player in my skin journey. So I am forever grateful that I met you guys and I met Hayley at Solstice.
Yes.
I always end the potty with the same question, which is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, this was a really interesting question because I went in many different directions. But I think when we're looking at the essence of our conversation today, the advice that I would give to my younger self is find yourself a mentor in the direction that you're wanting to lead your life in. And what I mean by that is because I felt very lost. I didn't know where to go for health advice, for proper skincare advice. And I was doing all the wrong things when I was younger. I was drinking too much. I was eating the wrong things. I was smoking back then and all of those things. If I knew...
You're like, this is not me now.
It is not. I'm completely opposite. And if I knew, if I really knew what I knew now, it would have just been so different, right? But that's the path that I had and I've learned along the way. And with that, finding that mentor, it's important because I think it's important for particularly young women or even just young people to have people to guide you in life. And if you feel a pull to something, finding somebody who lives that way is just going to set you up for success in the most beautiful way. So, yeah, that's what I would love to do.
I love that. Well, little Sandra would be so proud of you now. Thank you so much for joining me on the mic.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So just a reminder for the listeners, if they want to create this bespoke skincare range, where can they go?
They can go to their nearest Dermaviduals partner or skin treatment centre in your area.
So I see Solstice Skin. Highly recommend. It's the best facial of your life, the best skincare of your life. I know a lot of my listeners are in this area. So
Beautiful.
yeah, they're Solstice Skin, but you said online they can put their postcode in and
I'm
find.
sure that if you go online, you pop in your postcode, it will come up with your nearest Dermaviduals partner or clinic. Otherwise, you can always give us a call and we can direct you. We're always happy to help with our customer service. And, even on Instagram, type in Dermaviduals and see what comes up, and you never know, you'll find your nearest partner. I have to say that our partners are very well educated. They know the skin inside and out. They know the products. They know how to care for the skin. So you're going to be in the best of hands.
Yeah, I can truly say that and vouch for that. Thank you so much for joining me on Self Dom, and I will see you on the next episode.